Hi everyone, welcome to a new video, this time on Love is Blind UK Season 2. And here we'll be analysing several cast members in the pod stage and discuss how people's insecurities can manifest in different coping mechanisms and behaviours. So first, disclaimers and spoiler alert, this video is going to be based on episodes 1 to 4 of Season 2. I understand it's an edited show, I am only analysing the characters portrayed. I also believe that people can grow and change. This analysis is for our own learning and reflection only. Please do not use what I say to bother the cast. In terms of examples of insecurity and self-doubt, I think the most obvious and vulnerable example is Katisha.
I've had a few mishaps in the past. I've had people not treat me very well, and I would say I probably had a particular type. I feel like I go for very emotionally unavailable men.
Katisha has said that she's not had good experiences in dating and relationships, having dealt with a lot of infidelity and dishonesty.
He was unfaithful, quite a lot.
Okay.
And I just believed him, every time.
So what Katisha is familiar with is uncertainty. A guy who is low effort, unexpressive, avoidant, someone who keeps her guessing.
I have one guy that's treating me very lovely and very attentively, like I've never been treated before. And then I have another guy who's slower paced. I guess more like my usual type, and that scares me.
And it's bewildering to Katisha when a man treats her well and puts her first.
Demola is very kind and generous and genuine, but I'm struggling with this amount of adoration. I'm not used to this.
Because of her past experiences, Katisha expects that she must pursue a man. She has to convince them to love her.
I would generally be willing to get down if you were not on the same page.
I said to the boys that I'll propose if she says that she would propose to me.
Hence her attraction to Javen, who gives very little, behaving like he's very exclusive.
Demola, on one hand, who's very forward with his feelings, and I have Javen, who doesn't really say much. He's this dark, mysterious character.
Javen's avoidant nature gives Katisha the anxiety she's so used to and puts Javen on a pedestal in her eyes.
It's been a wild ride. It's been very bumpy, but I think Javen was worth the wait.
She idealized him being openly self-centered and uncompromising, as being authentic and confident.
I like Javen. I just quite liked his honesty. I feel like he was just yeah, cool, this is who I am.
Katisha's low self-worth meant that internally, she does not deem herself worthy of even reciprocity in affection, let alone a man who makes way more effort than she does, like Demola.
What's stopping you?
I don't know. But I don't know if I'm putting my walls up because it seems too perfect, too good to be true. Do you know what it is? I'm how can you be so set on me? How?
Amazing. Why wouldn't they be?
Sorry.
Unfortunately, when we are unhealed or not self-aware, our unconscious guides us towards what we are familiar with. And you could tell that Katisha did try to make an effort to learn to make better relationship choices for herself.
My usual type's not working for me, so I'm not gonna go with that.
Can you see yourself falling in love with me?
I think so. I can definitely see this working.
Katisha initially did choose Demola, the more securely attached man who gives her a lot of clarity.
Demola is my man. Why can't I be with a man that's crazy about me? Yeah. Because I've never had it and I'm not used to it. He makes it very clear that he really likes me. He offers me everything a girl could want.
You can tell the rational side of Katisha really wanted to make the healthier choice this time and choose to believe that she does deserve love and good treatment.
I know you've got the next date.
Don't worry, nothing's gonna change.
Say that again?
Nothing's gonna change.
Okay, I love that.
I feel confident in my decision.
Katisha, you've made me a happy man.
Yeah, you've made me a happy girl.
However, like a moth to a flame, she was immediately drawn back to Javen the minute he dropped a few breadcrumbs her way, only because Katisha was about to choose Demola.
I want to read you my notes that I've written for you, yeah? Over the last week, yeah?
Okay.
Okay. Want someone genuine, loves Jamaican food, tick, kind spirit, caring personality, good banter, funny, and cheeky. Sexual chemistry is very important. Tick. And I think that is it. After that, I stopped writing notes because I was just like, well, I think I've got enough.
Ultimately, Katisha associates romantic feelings with Javen more than Demola.
Demola deserves somebody who is 100% sure on him, and that's just not me. My heart doesn't sing as high for him like it does for Javen.
For Katisha, romance means anxiety, uncertainty, and the ambiguous hot and cold from Javen.
I know exactly where I stand with Demola. And with Javen, I don't know how he feels.
As opposed to Demola's consistency, safety, which Katisha decides to send to the friend zone.
I think because we get on so well. But I feel like the romantic connection wasn't always there.
Oh, wow. So crazy.
This is why it's so important to work on your self-worth and heal past wounds, because we ultimately resonate with who we think we deserve. You won't know what to do with genuine love if you don't think you deserve it.
I've never recognized me being put first. I feel like I am actually quite inexperienced in love. I know how to love someone, but I don't know how to receive it, apparently.
In terms of personality types, Katisha has SI introverted sensing as a dominant function. SI types tend to reflect and draw meaning from their past, and thus they have a strong relationship and draw towards what they're familiar with versus unfamiliar.
I've had a few mishaps in the past. I've had people not treat me very well, but I'm struggling with this amount of adoration. I'm not used to this.
To justify her decision to go with what she's used to, Katisha engaged her optimistic NE extroverted intuition function to believe in the potential of this relationship with Javen, that it's different this time when it's the same.
Literally, it's the way that he makes me feel that is completely different. I can see a clear picture of our future.
Katisha explained that her gut told her to choose Javen.
Unfortunately, I had to, I had to go with my gut.
And what we call our gut tends to be our lowest function, the inferior function. For Katisha, this is FI introverted feeling, and this is a function that decides how you feel and your personal values. FI thus also determines your self-worth, regardless of other people or anything external. Thus, if Katisha's FI is saying that Javen's low effort is what I deserve, not Demola's higher effort, then yes, she's gonna follow her gut and choose Javen. Also of note is that Javen is actually the same personality type as Katisha based on my methods of assessing natural speech, whereas Demola has a higher feeling function than both of them. You can actually start to see a glimpse of Katisha's own caution and reservation with emotional expression when she justifies to the other woman why she and Javen are one of the only couples that haven't said the L word yet.
Have you said anything, Katisha?
I feel like it's very important to me. And I feel like it's very easy to be swept up within the experiment, swept up in. I'm not devaluing what you said at all.
No.
I want to be very intentional with my words. I don't want to just say it just for the sake of it. I could probably easily say it, but I'm not going to.
So Katisha actually preferred Javen, someone who is equally low feeling as her. In fact, Javen is even more avoidant and evasive versus Demola, who is someone with higher feeling, therefore more naturally capable of embracing emotions and being expressive, which unfortunately Katisha found overwhelming. If there was one thing I want people to learn from this video, it's that to not let people like Javen fool you into thinking that that's what self-confidence looks like, because this guy is terrified of being vulnerable.
I'm a charmer. I don't find it difficult to date multiple women.
Beware of mistaking arrogance for confidence.
I'm very competitive, naturally.
Hey, how'd you go? How'd you go, bro?
But I don't need to compete for women.
Anyone who is truly confident and secure in themselves do not need to flex this much.
Playing it cool.
I can't play it any other way.
Wow.
This much flexing means he's trying to convince others and probably himself of his own high value.
I said to the boys that I'll propose if she says that she would propose to me.
Oh.
We didn't sleep much.
Javen constantly reiterated how little he is invested in this process.
I don't even know how to really explain it, but it was almost like I won a prize that I wasn't expecting to win.
If you want him, you have to pursue him. If you don't want him, he's chill. He can take it or leave it.
I guess on my end, it's like, if I'm not your number one, then that's just the way the cookie crumbles, right? If you're having doubts, I don't want you to be burdened with doubt. Like, you know, I'm cool. You got to go with what you feel comfortable with.
Okay.
On the surface, what Javen said here might sound really zen, even generous. Oh, I don't want you to be burdened by doubt. Go with what you're comfortable with. But what he's really saying is that unless you declare him as number one and you're vulnerable first, he's not going to do nout for you. He's not going to fight for you. He's not going to lift a finger.
Why are you laughing?
Probably haven't made too many grand gestures, I guess. But that's not me. That's probably not how I communicate, so.
Okay.
His nonchalance is classic avoidance. If he acts like he doesn't care, then he can't get hurt.
You agree that our connection is strong?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I agree too. Why are you just not like laying all your cards on the table?
Do you think that if I was to do that, that would help you? There's obviously like fear and vulnerability around. If I feel that way about you and you don't feel the same about me, then I'm going home, innit?
It was really annoying when Javen asked Katisha, oh, would a gesture from me help you anyway? Would expressing myself more be helpful to you? Yes, of course it would. You're talking through a wall. You only have 10 days. Words and gestures are all you have to gauge each other.
Thing with like the gestures and stuff, like, so you said that that's like not your style.
No, it's not that it's not my style. I just didn't feel like in this particular setting, I just didn't feel like that was necessary.
So please observe the level of entitlement here. This man is basically asking you to choose him based on nothing, just based on him showing up at all. He does not feel he has to offer you anything.
The reason that I'm still here and still willing to speak to Katisha is because I want to give her a chance to express herself.
Javen making no effort automatically puts the onus on the other person to do everything if anything is to happen. Through this, he's setting himself up as higher value, the prize.
She's going to have to propose to me. That's the only way. If not, I'm taking my ass home, bro.
Javen has a huge fear of vulnerability because he's insecure from past rejection. The stakes of being vulnerable, of being himself, is so high because his ego is so fragile. In his intro, Javen said that he's technically been single all his life. He's never been seriously involved with anyone.
So technically, I've been single my whole life. I've never had like a serious long-term relationship.
But later, he revealed that he did have an ex-partner who had significantly eroded his ability to trust.
Yeah, I was seeing someone for a little while, probably around like 10 months or so. That was probably the first time I was like really vulnerable with someone. I was really like giving it 100%, and I didn't feel like I was getting back that 100%. She kind of ended things, but I knew it was coming. It definitely affected me.
Yeah.
Javen protects his heart by minimizing and devaluing things. It reduces the emotional stakes for himself and reduces the other person's value against his own.
Thank you, bro.
Just a bit of a sticky situation.
Yeah. That's women, man. That's women, man.
Yeah.
They don't know what they want, bro. They don't know what they want.
In reality, I think Javen does care way more than he lets on. You can tell by how he sulked about their love triangle situation and shamed Katisha for being messy.
I didn't tell you, my bags were packed, you know.
Yeah.
That morning, Demola was very confident about getting engaged with you. I feel like that whole triangle was just messy.
I didn't really see it as a triangle. Yeah, it's not an issue.
Yeah.
Javen is so terrified of emotions that anyone else's expression of feeling he mocks as love bombing.
She was like, the other person's making like really big, like grand gestures, like love bombing her.
Love bombing, he said.
And it's so interesting that Javen accused Demola of love bombing, i.e. emotional manipulation, when in reality, Javen was the self-proclaimed game player.
If you want a woman, you've got to pursue her, however you want to do it. That's just a part of the game.
These flowers are absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, good. I'm glad you like them. I'm trying to lock something in.
Overall, Javen's idea of love is very self-centered. His desire for a long-term relationship sounded purely for his own benefit and utility.
Ultimately, I came here to find my wife. They say that men that are married live longer.
Although this may just reflect how unserious he is about this process.
I want to live a long, happy life.
I got the sense that Javen was only there to win, not to find love.
I don't feel like I could just say I love her.
Javen also expects you to be vulnerable and transparent with him.
Why do you feel like nothing's materialized over the last 6 years for you?
I feel like I'm quite gentle with my heart because I've had it messed with. I'm a bit of a traumatic breakup.
What happened? You got to dive into that. You can't just skirt over that one. You got to...
He wants all the information he can get from you to risk assess you and feel a sense of control. Meanwhile, he remains mysterious and elusive himself.
That's why I feel that I don't know where I stand with you. Like, he's been making grand gestures. The way that you express how you feel is obviously very different.
This imbalance is a power play, manipulation 101. One can speculate that Javen might have chosen Katisha because he was able to make her reveal her vulnerabilities on their first date, her history of being victim to quite abusive sounding relationships, someone he could prey on.
Katisha has a very kind spirit. I feel like there's a lot of vulnerability there, and she's someone that I could care for.
Hi, quick break to say that if you wanted us to analyze your personality type and make sense of your relationships, communication, and decision making, then please find booking details in the description box below. Another hugely insecure person who equally made low effort was Sophie.
Do you not like cats?
Like a cat, you have to really work for its love, and I'm just really not here for that.
To me, Sophie is just the more emotional, volatile version of Javen. Like Javen, Sophie puts herself up on a pedestal that she is the judge here and the person to impress.
I think I'm still single because I treat first dates like an interview.
Like Javen, she also subtly and not so subtly flexes all the time.
I want someone who actually chose me because of my soul and not the way I look.
I like that. What does success look like for you?
I feel like I'm in it right now, if I'm honest.
Only Sophie rejects people. No one rejects Sophie.
I had a 5-year relationship. I outgrew him.
Prior to this experience, rejection is not a feeling that I go through.
I also don't put myself in positions to be rejected.
Like Javen, Sophie demonstrated the same entitlement, where she only wants to put minimal effort and you'll just have to accept it.
But I don't let people in, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I've written that down.
If you want any effort, information, or emotion from Sophie, first you'll have to commit 100% and declare for her first.
You do not want to give detail, do you?
I just feel like if you get in one knee, I don't think you'll be disappointed, babe. Like, you're good.
And she is giving you nothing before that point and does not feel she needs to.
We're fine, aren't we?
What more do you need to know, Kieran?
She is guarded, withholding, and not letting anyone in.
How would I give you butterflies?
Passion, I'd say.
You're going to have to go more than that. I'm sorry, I'm not accepting that.
Why?
I need more.
Meanwhile, she expects you to completely let her in and just be certain that she's the one for you.
Shut up, Kieran. You'll be fine. Shake my hand and just be happy.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
Deal.
Sophie and Javen both have SI and TE functions as their dominant, just in a different order. SI introverted sensing is the tendency to be the receiver of experiences. It takes SI type's energy to initiate, and SI prefers to have others start things off for them and make things happen for them, and then they follow along.
Give me some dad jokes, because I'm obsessed with dad jokes.
I was in a bank earlier and an old woman asked me to check her balance, so I pushed her over.
SI types are also very specific about what experience they want, how they want things to happen.
I just live at home, me and my mum.
I don't want to date someone who lives with their mom. Be like, all right, Sandra, can I just go to your son's bedroom? Why is this so hard?
Thus, in a self-centered way, SI types can fall into this sense of entitlement, where they wait around for other people to initiate, to take risks, to do everything. In addition, TE extroverted thinking types can have this air of exclusivity about them. TE thinks about things in terms of categorization, standards, and hierarchy, and awareness of what society deems good, bad, and superior.
Like, what are the big things that you feel like, I wish I could do that, and, you know, hopefully with me?
There's a few designer bags on that list that I want to hit before I turn a certain age.
Right.
TE types thus can project themselves as being exclusive and high value in order to protect their lower FI function, introverted feeling, essentially their heart, the part of them that is their most vulnerable self, their feelings and their identity away from external validation.
I'm a very guarded person because I'm petrified of giving myself to somebody and not being enough.
The difference between Sophie and Javen is that Sophie has a higher feeling function. So she's more freely flipping between her guarded, harsh, judgmental self versus her emotional, sweeter nature.
You know, one of those tango ice blasts that you have?
Yeah.
You've slapped up all my juice. And now it's just like ice. You've got to wait for it to melt again to have some more juice. I am actually a cute girl.
Are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you pretend to be an ice queen.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a front.
Compared to Javen, Sophie is also more willing to admit to her own faults and fears. She is definitely self-aware in what her issues are with the fear of intimacy.
I've always held something back because I'm so scared of being heartbroken that I self-sabotage. So if I don't show them all of me, then it's okay if I'm not enough for them, because joke's on them, they didn't see this side of me.
However, it doesn't seem like she's prepared to do very much towards solving her issues.
I am very much ready to open my book and, yeah, get as deep as we want to get.
Yeah, it's a little bit scary.
It's kind of the point, though, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but I don't do this.
We see Kieran really having to hold her accountable at every turn.
How would I give you butterflies?
Passion, I'd say.
You're going to have to go more than that. I'm sorry, I'm not accepting that.
Why?
I need more.
Why do you need more?
You do not want to give detail.
He had to remind Sophie of the whole point of this process in order to shift her immovable stance.
To be honest with you, I'd say there's a lot more to explore. Like, in order for us to connect on a level where you could fall in love, like we're obviously not there yet, right?
In terms of personality type, Sophie and Kieran are a very high chemistry, high confusion pair, meaning that they do not share a single cognitive function and all their complementary functions are not at the same levels. Kieran has dominant FE extroverted feeling, which makes him a natural at opening up Sophie's lower FI function, creating a safe space for her to be vulnerable.
There's just something about Kieran. It feels very easy with him. I just met my husband.
Kieran is also someone who embraces his lower functions. He uses TI and SE to hold Sophie accountable and not let her get away with her low effort. TI introverted thinking is not afraid to break rapport and call out the truth, what's not working, and SE extrovert sensing takes control of the moment and points out the reality. I also think that on an individual level, Kieran is attracted to Sophie and has the patience for Sophie because of his relationship and experience with his mother.
My mum was not a mummy mum at all.
Right.
I was in a 7-year relationship, which ended a year ago. I don't think I've ever had like a deep emotional connection though.
So when Sophie finally did open up to Kieran a little bit, you can see that that was a major breakthrough.
After my mum and dad divorced, she had a new partner. Her relationship with him was more important than the one with me. I feel like I'm really scared to give my heart to someone because like the one person in your life that's supposed to love you unconditionally decided something else was more important than me.
However, because Kieran had other options, as is often the case on Love is Blind, her first step at vulnerability was not enough to win Kieran over.
In my dates with Megan, I feel like we haven't been able to open up with each other. With Sophie, we've got that surface level connection.
His connection with Megan was just so much more effortless.
I've just got such a good vibe from you from literally the first time we spoke to each other, which is madness.
So when Kieran gave Megan a small gift as a declaration of his preference, and Megan celebrates unknowingly in front of Sophie, Sophie was completely outraged.
Basically, it's like a little Japanese ornament that they use, and he said, "I'm giving it to you." And I was like, and I sprayed it with my cologne.
I ain't being like, oh, it's between me and another girl. Fuck that.
Kieran's gift-giving situation was a good example of the function SE extroverted sensing in the inferior position. Our inferior function can be quite a contradictory place. It's on and off and can flip from 0 to 100 and back to 0. With Megan, Kieran was fully using the function SE. He took initiative, he was upfront, and gave Megan an experience in the form of a gift with the sensory element touch of his aftershave.
That's my little sentimental gift. It's a Japanese ornament. I did also spray it with my aftershave.
Yeah, I was going to say it smells.
I feel like I needed to put my cards on the table, and that's what I'm doing.
Sophie has sensing SI as her hero function, so she would understand the meaning behind Kieran's SE action towards Megan and see it as a really big slap in her face.
It's not even that he gave a gift, but the gift was super thoughtful and he sprayed it in his own aftershave. So it was kind of like he's putting his own scent on Megan. It's a very bold statement.
And I don't think this was Kieran fumbling, doing a oopsie. I think it was considered, calculated. He was aware of the potential consequences.
When I gave Meg the gift, I knew that that could have repercussions. Obviously, I care about Sophie, and yeah, I was quite sad, to be honest, because she was clearly upset, and yeah, it's not nice.
So with Sophie, Kieran was not using the function SE at all. He was not upfront, avoided direct communication. He gifted Megan behind Sophie's back and just hoped that Sophie would just get the idea and leave on her own.
Like, if you truly cared about how I felt, you wouldn't have put me in that position.
I respect that.
I don't really have anything more to say, so I think I'm going to leave now.
However, having said that about Kieran, I also do think that Sophie had totally overreacted.
Girl, fuck that.
Sophie acted like Kieran had completely blindsided her and that he was playing Megan and her.
He wasn't transparent with me. And obviously you coming in like screaming and being like, he did this.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
You've done that knowing that your actions to another girl are serious. And I'm like, what is he saying to you and what is he saying to me? Because I feel like they're the same thing.
However, from what we could see, Kieran didn't seem to have ever made Sophie any promises. In fact, he was pretty clear that their connection was not at the level that he would like it to be.
To be honest with you, I'd say there's a lot more to explore. Like, in order for us to connect on a level where you could fall in love, like we're obviously not there yet, right?
In the end, Sophie was very bitter because she felt that her small offer of vulnerability meant that she was entitled to Kieran's full commitment. She immediately went back to her usual defenses, puffing up her chest, climbing back up on her pedestal.
I'm a prize, like I'm a catch, and on the outside world you would see that. So I'm not here to beg you to love me. That's not who I am, it's not who I stand for.
Unlike Javen's nonchalance, Sophie was not able to hold back her emotions and how upset she was over the rejection.
Do you know what?
Fuck this,
No.
No, fuck this, this is a piece of shit. Someone needs to get this mic off me.
And last but not least, my final example of an insecure person is Patrick, Mr. Spleen.
I have this thing where I follow my spleen.
Oh.
Listening to my spleen is the best way for me to find the love of my life. I just follow my spleen.
Patrick is the self-proclaimed spiritual type. He's all about energies, vibrations, intuition.
I would say I'm very unconventional. I'm not the typical London boy. I'm very spiritual and, yeah, just following my spiritual journey and my energy.
Patrick has any extroverted intuition as his lowest function. Often what we aspire to the most and show off the most is our lowest function.
Every time you piss on a tree, you become part of that tree.
I love that point of view. We're all energy.
And we tend to be proud of our lower functions because they do take us more energy and time to use and master, and therefore we internally know how much effort we put in to operate in those headspaces. And from what I've observed in my work, very insecure people who deny a huge part of their true selves are very involved and enamored with their lowest inferior function.
There's a lot of unknown with you, and I like that. Well, there's just like infinite number of possibilities, and it's exciting.
Interestingly, what Patrick described as his intuition, splenic awareness, is not actually related to the intuition function at all. Rather, it's his introverted sensing, SI hero function.
We call it a splenic awareness, like an intuition thing.
What's that?
So basically, I trust my instinct in the moment.
The sensing functions deal with the perception and processing of our experiences. Patrick is making decisions based on how he feels about his experience.
It's even more like potent than your gut, and you follow it literally to the second. As soon as you feel that feeling of something's going to be good or bad, you just trust it.
It's his judgment of whether he enjoyed the experience and whether the experience had met his expectations.
And I would love that someone to just, blow my mind and make me feel something that I've never felt before. No one in this experience has given me a feeling apart from one girl. Anu.
Yeah.
It's just who challenges you, who gives you something different,
Initially, Patrick was very into Anu. He loved her extroverted energy.
Hello. I really love your voice as well, it's very... No, seriously, it's...
Oh, I'd give you a hug if you was near me.
Hug through the screen.
I just hugged you.
They also both love talking about spirituality and faith. Anu was giving Patrick the experience that he wanted.
She gives me such fiery energy. That is definitely something that is new to me, and I definitely want to explore how that makes me feel long term.
Patrick alluded to the fact that he used to be maybe very people-pleasing and less able to assert himself.
I was raised Christian, Catholic actually.
Okay.
My dad, as you know, Nigerians are very strict. Like, I'm not gonna lie to you, for 30 years of my life, I wasn't myself, I would say. I was basically just living to please people.
And you can tell from what he says and how he says it that Patrick deeply dislikes that good boy people pleaser part of him.
Like society always tells you to be humble and stuff like that. I really disagree with that.
I think Patrick was hoping to meet someone the complete opposite of his old self. Someone who is more assertive, unapologetic, fiery, qualities that Patrick aspires to be himself.
The reason why I'm very attracted to Anu is the growth mindset. When I think about marriage, I think about my best friend, my partner, and that has to be someone who brings me something I don't know.
And I think Patrick projected his past, his own insecurities onto Anu when she said that she would like her mom's approval for her partner, which is a pretty normal thing to want.
How would you react if your family rejected me?
My mum's literally my best friend,
Mm-hmm.
She knows better for me than I do.
Wow.
He shamed Anu with his spiritual lingo for being considerate of her mom's opinion.
Wanting approval of people and stuff like that. It's such a low vibration.
He relabeled it as people-pleasing and validation-seeking, basically not having a backbone, when he doesn't know enough about Anu and her family to make that judgment. So he was just projecting his own insecurities onto her.
If you constantly live life like that, you're not going to live life at all. You're just going to continuously people please. And
Patrick also got really annoyed with Anu when she refused to sing for him despite being a professional singer.
Are you going to sing for me? Give me a little song.
No? But it's not an insecurity, but it's like, just because I've sung backing vocals with Rod Stewart doesn't mean I'm this amazing singer. I don't like bragging. Like, I really play myself down.
Do you know, I really dislike that in someone, I'm not gonna lie to you.
I think Anu was just wanting to keep her singing abilities out of the experiment. She wanted the attraction to be about her person and be more than just a singer.
I just want to feel like someone's just judging me from what they see from me. I don't want them to judge me for what I've achieved or what I've accomplished.
However, this was such a sore point for Patrick that he pushed her to sing again on the next date.
Do you know what? I haven't heard you sing yet. The first thing you told me is that you're a singer as well.
Well, yeah, when you ask what does someone do?
Are you going to? You don't want to, do you?
Maybe.
And because she was reluctant again, Patrick just decided to do a 180 and drop Anu out of almost pettiness because he wasn't getting the experience he wanted when he demanded it.
Anu, this has been a lot of clarity actually. The connection has gone. She's holding back and that energy, it's not right.
This harps back to the sense of entitlement I described earlier, associated with the function SI introverted sensing. Overall, Patrick is really insecure because he's unable to take ownership of his feelings, thoughts, and decisions. His spleen is just a very concrete, objectified representation of his own split-second judgments, experience, and opinion.
Do you know what? I had a splenic intuitive hit.
Yeah.
So basically I just had the clarity that I don't want to see anyone else.
Patrick talks about his spleen, i.e. his judgment and choices, as if it's a separate consciousness from himself.
If I am going to trust my spleen, a proposal would be the next step.
He talks about it like it's completely out of his control.
It's something that I can't switch on or switch off. I won't question it and I'll always follow it because it's never led me astray.
But it's all him. It's literally him.
I've enjoyed thoroughly talking to you, but I have to follow my spleen.
A secure person would not have to hide behind so many masks to avoid ownership and accountability for their choices.
I had a lot of clarity in the fact that I will trust my spleen. And my spleen, unfortunately, this time didn't tell me anything. It didn't tell me that Anu was the one for me.
Via the guise of spirituality, Patrick was able to adopt this separate persona from his natural self, a holier-than-thou kind of cosplay.
Marriage for me is the ultimate. That is the highest of the highest. But if it doesn't feel right, if it doesn't feel good, then there's nothing I can do. And I wish her all the best in the future and in all her endeavors and positive energy.
This spiritual mask allows him to be ruthlessly self-serving and overcompensation for his people-pleasing past.
It was only until I guess I found my spirituality when I started to just be selfish in a good way. That's why I try not to focus too much on what society is telling me and stuff. I just focus on me.
So what is a good representation of a secure person? I think Demola was a good example based on the show edit. Secure people know what they are seeking.
I'm not trying to just settle. I want to make sure that the person I am with is my soulmate and I can love her up forever, honestly.
They remain genuine and they don't gain confidence by feeling superior to others.
I don't care about what someone else is doing. I can only do what I'm doing and show who I am. But I don't want any animosity.
Instead, they focus on themselves, their own intentions, feelings, and thoughts, and how they want to express and represent themselves.
I wear my heart on my sleeve, so I'm just gonna do what I can to show her why she should marry me.
Secure people embrace their emotional, softer sides and are not afraid to be vulnerable.
I can be emotional, I can be sensitive, and also just be real deep. I'm a sucker for love. I love love.
They are confident in expressing their feelings.
I really just see a future with you, and I'll die on my sword. I don't care.
They are generous and joyfully giving.
There's flowers in here.
Of course.
They're from you?
Yes, they're from me.
Oh.
Not withholding or being avoidant in order to feel in control.
So, I wrote something for you.
Oh.
Katisha, my little Scottish lass.
Secure people offer clarity in relationships.
I feel like I'm right for you. And I feel like I've made that clear from early.
and demonstrate what they feel their loved ones deserve.
You deserve it all, and don't think that it's something that you shouldn't deserve.
Thank you.
Most of all, secure people are gracious in the face of rejection. Their egos are not fragile.
This is like a shock. You must understand that, right?
No, of course I do.
I was ready to pour my heart out to you today and get down on one knee.
Secure people are comfortable expressing their disappointment and heartbreak, but remain respectful of other people's choices.
Okay. It's been nice getting to know you. Honestly, you're a great girl. And yeah, man, I wish you the best in your future. But this is probably time now when I have to say goodbye, so.
Demola was a real class act here, the best version of his personality type. A true gentleman, respectful, emotionally mature, able to look after others in the midst of his own sadness.
I wasn't expecting it. Yeah, bro.
But wait, come on, man, because like, we've got to celebrate. Hey, let's celebrate his engagement properly, bro. Like,
That took a lot.
Being secure with yourself does not mean being perfect. It means being able to look yourself in the mirror and do self-work and still have a healthy, compassionate relationship with yourself, and therefore being able to relate better with others. Thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. I hope it was helpful and interesting. If so, please like, subscribe, and share to support this channel. I've developed my own methods of interpreting and analyzing personality types. If you would like us to assess and analyze your personality type and make sense of your relationships, communication, and decision making, then please find booking details in the description box below.